All right, things are accelerating and we have to be on our game. I'm going to talk to you today about the absolute divine pathway, the divine choices, the divine future and present moment that is completely in your control. And you may not think that right now, and if you don't, that's okay. You can't make a mistake here. It's all a learning experience. But I'm going to share something with you that could turn that around. Fear, ego, all of it. Nothing's an enemy. No person is an enemy. Are you ready for this? Because if you go into this space of expansion, your world will look different and you will contribute to a completely different experience, a different reality. You can go into a fifth dimension. What does that even mean? I'm going to explain right now. This is really great stuff. Get excited. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. You know, this kind of material isn't all that popular. Music and funny videos and cat videos, but I'm going to stay steadfast on this, and I hope that you will share my videos with others who want to know that there is something much bigger happening right now than you can possibly imagine, and that the things that you believe or see out there that look very bad or painful have divine purpose. And this isn't woo-woo stuff. People say, you know, you have your head in the sand. I'm thinking, well, what I believe is a choice. So is it putting your head in the sand, or is it just making a higher choice and creating a different reality? And that's all you're doing. So where would you rather live? In a world that's painful and struggle? Because struggle means you're not accepting what's going on. That's all struggle is. But we're here. The one doesn't make a mistake. Source is everything, creates everything. And you are part of that creation, and you are a creator also. These things you shall do or more. Ye are all gods. That's from the Bible. Do you believe it? Maybe not. Because if you did, there's nothing you couldn't change in your life right now. So if you're dissatisfied with anything, you can change it. Everything's a story that you tell yourself. It comes from a belief that prompts a thought, that prompts an action. So here's what I want to share with you. We have to be on our game, and this is why. There is no accident, chaos, coincidence. Absolutely every single thing is one thing connected and affecting one another. Everything is. Everything. So, in other words, what I'm telling you right now is everything is so divinely created and connected, and it is purposeful, and there is no accident, no victim, no punishment. It is exploration of its creation powers. It is knowing everything that it can be, and it can be darkness. And through darkness, we learn and experience things and get to know light. And so as painful as that seems, we only go into true pain when we struggle. Struggle is when I experience pain and I say, it shouldn't be this way. I'm saying, it's not okay. Somebody made a mistake. But there aren't any mistakes. Those are part of an illusion that we create. We create limitations. We create endings. We create all the things you see out there that hurt. We're doing all of it. There cannot be a chaotic planet Earth unless there's somebody taking an action, a lower frequency. We're all doing it. We're doing it. And so my judgment of that is saying, you're wrong, it shouldn't be that way, and that's struggle. We can step out of struggle. And I'm going to tell you about two things, fear and ego. These are really important. Fear is not an enemy. It's an indication, just like predictions are, indications of where you are on your frequency and your thoughts. A fear cannot show up unless there has been a series of events and thoughts and beliefs that created a situation and then a story about the situation. So let's say you're having financial difficulties or relationship problems. That didn't just happen to you. If you unwind everything, There's a cause and effect that keeps going and going and going, and there's no ending to it. That parent, and I've talked a lot to students about this, by the way, you guys come on over. I have a special coaching that I'm doing right now. We're having deep conversations, and I talk about seeing the other, seeing the pain in the other, and where their anger is coming from, or where their abuse is coming from, that they're inflicting, came from their own history, that came from something, that came from something. And we're not looking at that. We see a situation right now, the power of now. But here's what I want to talk about with the power of now. The power of now is to see the other, the pain in the other, and not myself. Ego serves a good purpose also. Ego protects you, right? Ego says, I don't want to starve. Ego says, I need to protect myself. You're thinking of yourself as an individual, so it does serve a purpose. It is not to be eliminated. It just takes a backseat. Because as long as you're human, it will serve a positive role. Fear is the same thing. So if I fear, I don't have to struggle against it. I can look at it and say, why am I fearing this right now? Because I don't want to be on the street broke. Because I don't want to lose this relationship. Because I don't want to be alone. Because I don't want to be sick. So that fear says, okay, how did you create that? Because you did. It didn't just happen to you. And this is where I want you to get really on your game and realize I'm completely entangled with everything. Everything, including what's happening out in the world out there. I'm entangled with it. So every thought and action is changing that through their own free will. But if you shine a light, you're showing somebody a different choice and a pathway. So when I see fear and I observe it, I no longer struggle and say, it shouldn't be this way, but I created that, so it is that way. So let's deal with it. You're going to feel the pain, but you don't have to struggle. So you look at the fear and you say, okay, how did that happen? Oh, I have a history of not trusting people. So I keep getting these breakups, or I have a history of wanting things from people. My ego wants them to be different. Okay, there's a history. It didn't just happen. So now I'm here. So the fear is I'm going to lose this person or be alone. So how do I change that? This is a in-your-face gift that says this is what you've been creating. And if you don't like it, don't struggle against it and say it shouldn't happen. Pay attention to the message. I can change this because I'm the creator of my reality and beyond. So now I say, okay, fear actually is a motivator, and I use it. And I say, okay, ooh, feeling that. I experience fear. The Dalai Lama experiences fear. Christ experienced fear. They just didn't do anything with it. So I observe it, and I teach this. You observe it. So what you do is you look at it and you say, okay, I'm feeling it. I'm not going to fight that. I'm feeling it. What's this message? What can I do to change that? If I don't like it, I created it. I can create something else. And you use it to motivate you and say, okay, I'm going to be a better spouse. I'm going to be a kinder spouse. I'm going to be a less controlling, egotistical partner. I'm going to learn from this because this is happening for a reason, and I contributed and entangled with it. What can I learn from it? And so you do the same thing with ego. You say, okay, ego wants to control. It's not happy with other people. Oh, I'm in judgment. And so it doesn't feel good because I'm judging other people, which is a lower frequency, and I don't like to feel that way. I have to look at that and say, nobody's making me feel that. I'm totally in control of my feelings. They could lock you up and you could go into euphoria. Why? Because you're totally in control of this. No one can change your ability to choose your thoughts and feelings. That's 100% you. And this is what we're stepping into right now. So I'll give you an example. I have a friend, a lovely person, but she's a very domineering kind of personality, and she controls a lot of things, bosses you around. And, sometimes that wears thin. All right, not to be judged, just a choice whether you want to be around it or not. If it wasn't for this person, who I'm no longer really in communication with, I have no bad feelings toward this person, but she's gone into some negative spaces that I don't want to be around. So I chose to step back from the negative energy, not to judge it, but to say, I no longer want to communicate or be involved, be entangled with it. But here's the thing. There are no mistakes. If it wasn't for that person who I was very good friends with in Atlanta on and off, depending on where she was in her life, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here in Florida. Everything aligns perfectly. So there are no mistakes. There's no bad relationship. There's a learning experience. It's only when you stay in it and you don't make the changes that you stay in a low frequency 3D, 4D, experience. And if you want to go into the new earth, you have to look and say, everything is divine and purposeful. Everything holds great value, all of it. Because the one is pure light and love, and it just wants to explore everything and allow options. Now you're going to see my book's coming out here shortly. Actually, it's going to be, I think, August. It's going to come out. When we talk about free will, you have free will. The reason we have free will is because we're dense, and it allows us higher choices. And the whole purpose of being in the matrix here is teachings and choices from a dense, unconscious state of being. The one, we all chose to go into unconsciousness so that we can learn all of that experience and go back into consciousness, and that's choice. And we have to have free will to do that because density creates individualism and separation. All right? So that's why we have free will. Other planets don't have free will, and people think, oh, prison planets. I said, no, it's the opposite. You want to hear this one? I think you're going to love it. You don't need free will if you're all of one mind. If you're all at a higher level and everything's service to others, there's no free will necessarily because you're not operating as individual, separate people who believe that there's an enemy or that, there's a conflict of some kind. We have to take sides. It doesn't exist on those planets. So they don't need that choice, that free will choice. So does this make sense? So if you are of one mind and everyone goes in, if we go into the 5D, 6D, up, we can just keep going here and remain as humans, dense humans. If we go into the one consciousness, we go back into that, it's service to others, because that which you place out here, you're receiving immediately because we're one energy field. So whatever you're doing to the collective, you do to me. That means we do it to ourselves. So why would you do anything negative, reject somebody, not feel compassion for somebody who might be even doing some really nasty stuff because they're coming from a place of pain. So we don't want to go into that space of judgment and pointing fingers, because that is not that high frequency of oneness of which that person is also. They're perfect. They just have more veils. They have other teachings, and they're your greatest teacher. And so if you don't show compassion, you don't have to love them, you don't have to hang out with them or approve. But you can offer options and solutions. So if somebody is doing something destructive to animals or people or babies or whatever, you become the conduit for the positive change without the judgment. So you're not going to stand by. I call it the no tolerance zone. We have full acceptance, but we have no tolerance. In other words, I'm no longer going to accept eating chemical-laden food or doing what I'm told with my body if that's not what I feel is best. We're starting to go into intuition. And so what you're going to do now is start to make higher choices with purpose. So you realize everything has a purpose. That person who did something that's nasty, you learned from it, you got a chance to make a higher choice, you got a chance to be the person who shows compassion. Now, I just had quite a few coaching sessions. Boy, people are really taking advantage of this. I got a 2-for-1 special going. You get a whole hour with me. And so absolutely every person so far has reported back to me within 24 hours that everything turned around and that their response, they were focused completely on their response, an opportunity in every situation to not judge, oppose, go into ego, you shouldn't act this way, you're wrong, you're a jackass. And so instead they go and say, you know what, you're acting like a jackass, but I can see the hurt in you. And I'm going to send my compassion, because what you're talking about is irrelevant. Only my ego can decide if it's being damaged. And I'm choosing to place it back here and say, you know what? My ego doesn't need to talk about this because this has nothing to do with my survival. It has to do with my desires in a material world and control. And so I don't want to go into that egotistical space. I'm going to observe it and say, oh, it wants you to be different because it thinks you're not okay. So I'm going to go into service to others and oneness. Oneness says everybody's okay. They're just acting out their roles. And what am I learning from it? Because I'm entangled with it for a reason, and that is to make a higher choice. Free will. And I get to raise the frequency of the planet one light being at a time because of that. And we start to go into a 5D existence here, heaven on earth, this great awakening we talk about. And guess what? You'll be in it only if your frequency aligns with it. You can't tune in to classical music if you're tuned into rock and roll. And it's just that simple. It's neither right nor wrong. It's just a choice. It's just a choice. So it's accelerating. It's accelerating. Why? Because we're becoming more conscious. The more conscious you become, the more things just happen. Right? When you're in density, things are slow. When you're in consciousness, things are higher, brighter, faster. There's no time anymore. There's nothing you can't do, be, or have. Because when you're in a high frequency, you're not doing it from a place of ego and I want something to make me happy. You're doing it from a higher calling. In other words, you're doing it a service to others because you know it returns to you and you have everything you need. Then you become healthy and happier and abundant and peaceful. And you still exist in a painful world because people will be making different choices. And you have to be okay with that, because if you're not, you're judging that. And then you go back into a low frequency saying, you're not okay. My ego decides what's okay and what's not. Does this make sense? This is what we're doing right now. You got to be on your game every split second. And you've got to observe. Don't fight the feeling. Don't fight the judgment. Observe it. Stand back here and say, there it is again. Wow, I'm judging that person. I'm not going to go, oh, I shouldn't do that. No, then you're judging yourself. Be okay with everything. Just learn from it and observe it. Be conscious. Just go into consciousness. And when you do, all of a sudden, all this stuff just floats by like clouds. You're not reacting. You're not entangled with it. You feel the fear. You don't struggle with it. You know it's a warning sign. This is what I'm thinking and feeling at this moment. Where is it coming from? What can I do with this? Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I need to change some patterns about how I work and live and my finances or whatever. And because now, if I make these changes, opportunities are going to open up that are going to change my life and take me in a direction that I really want to go to. That's true happiness, not what the ego wants to fix something quickly. Give me the money. Give me the happy relationship. And that's the ego wanting something from the world out here that it can never give you, ever. Are you ready to step into the 5th dimension? Are you ready to go into that space where even if it's a little difficult, and it will be, you don't struggle, you don't feel, you don't experience, have those feelings. I know people, oh, are you okay? I'm saying, I'm always okay. Because people can't imagine being in a space where fear doesn't dominate or ego. And people say, do you have fear? I said, yes, it's there. I don't interact with it anymore. It'll show up sometimes. Sure it will. There's always a trigger. There's always this thing that happens that you say, okay, here we go again. Here's a new teaching. Here's a new challenge. What can I do with that? And I say, okay, this is going to take me someplace else. And get excited, because when that happens, you have a door that you can open into a completely different world that you would not have gone after had you not had that fear. That fear will motivate you. Use it. It's the beauty of the human experience. You guys, this is free. I have a book coming out. I have all kinds of cool things happening that I can't wait to tell you about. These are free videos, and if you go in there, I'm changing my website, my business website. Everything I do is going to help you to flourish financially, doing things you're passionate about, that you love, getting skills, and taking charge of our physical life here and saying, I'm not going to sit back and be some broke person blaming the world. I'm going to take charge. I'm going to get skills and knowledge. I'm going to start doing things to earn money that are productive and that contribute to a different kind of planet. And that's what I'm teaching people, is that we're not standing by, separating the tree huggers. Somebody just said they're a tree hugger. I said, isn't that sad? It's this make fun kind of comment to say that I don't want to be that. Yes, you do want to be that, because that tree is a live, intelligent being, and so are you. And so every single thing that you do, everything, every thought is absolutely creating, changing, manifesting. Everything is. Nothing goes unnoticed. So, what you do for a living, your choices, how you respond, everything's about your response. How am I responding? Not what they're doing, how am I responding? Because everything rests on my response. One light being, this light being, not that light being, because that is a light being, teaching me how to go into my own light, how to remove my veils, how to raise my frequency. And through that, I shine a light on them, and they will make different choices. And if they don't, I'm not going to judge that either. But in every one of the cases of my coaching, other people have made different choices because the student changed their response, and therefore the response over here changed, and it went into a beautiful, higher space, and the transformation has been off the charts amazing. So if you guys are in here, you can go to LandriaOnkka.com and schedule a coaching session, and you'll get the bonus 2-for-1. I don't know how long that's going to go. I will post that on occasion. You can take advantage of it. I hope you'll subscribe and share my videos. Please help to promote this word that we're in a beautiful transitional time period right now. It's a privilege, not a punishment. And you took on something amazing, so thank you for being here. It could be the most awesome, awesome time period on this planet. You could feel that instead of going into the fear and saying it shouldn't be this way. Go into unity, my friend. Unity, community, all of it. It's beautiful. So again, if you go into these free videos, you're going to see my email is going to change. I've got something really cool that we're doing. I'm launching a North American effort for you to own your own publishing business that a whole team is going to come in and do for you. And you're not going to have to learn all the technical stuff or how to build websites or all the other things that I've learned through training. If that's not your thing, this might just be something really, really cool that you could do to create passive income without really doing much. You don't have to do all the stuff that I do every day. So go into your passion. We'll help you do that. I'm going to find 101 ways for you to find that pathway that suits you. It's your choice. It's your life. It's your journey. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.